I think technology-wise, it depends on the age that we're gearing our music towards. It depends on the genre of music. Okay, if you're talking about urban music, urban with a little taste of tropical music, I think the internet it's one new way of marketing. Okay, I feel that it depends on the age of the artist we're trying to promote. That's very, very important, extremely important of how we market that particular piece of product that we're trying to market. So I think before we even spend dollars on or talking about how do we market this and how we market that, we need to find out what is it we're trying to market. Because if I go and spend, for example, let's say on an older demographic type of an artist, I don't want to names because everybody gets pissed off when you tell them about names, but that has an age group of 35 to 50. Well, I don't think that will be an artist that I will put a lot of money behind the internet because it just won't work. But definitely the standard radio, especially the top 40 type older format, the is easy listening, what we call easy listening here, is a type of marketing that you would concentrate your efforts towards on that particular artist. If you're talking about an urban artist like Daddy Yankee or Voltio or something else, or Extreme, that group that we just had, the Bachata group that we just have. Well, those are coming from the streets. Those are coming from kids listening to internet, playing off the internet. Probably 3/4 of them downloaded already. So we need to be able to be, again, flexible enough to play around with our marketing dollars to be able to get the most out of our return of what we spend. And that's the key, I think. No different than the American market. Well, especially in the Hispanic U.S. market, it's very complex. People think, oh, it's a Latin music. Well, it's actually the more complex of all the countries in Latin America, because Latin America, their primary marketing is Hispanic. So American music's secondary. Well, it's the same way here. We're secondary, and American music's primary. Okay. The problem we have here, as it gets more complicated, is that we actually have 5 different cultures and 5 different countries in one marketplace. If you look west of the Mississippi, 99% of it is Mexican. You look into Miami, Puerto Rico, New York, is more of an East Coast, urban, traditional salsa merengue type of music. You look overall, and what we're trying to do, let's hit the home run with the pop artists. But those pop artists are very difficult to be able to A&R, the word A&R, pop artists from the U.S. Hispanic to the rest of Latin America. Don't ask me why, but it happens. Okay, you might have, over the 10-year period, you might have 4 or 5 artists that hit it big here and spread quite well to Latin America. Mark Anthony's one of them. But for every Mark Anthony you put from the U.S. Hispanic market towards the international pop market, they'll have 10 of them. And most of the pop, and I'm talking about pop genre only now here, I'm talking about the Juanes of this world. I'm talking about Shakira's. Shakira came from Colombia. Juana comes from Colombia. There's a tremendous amount of pop artists that come out of the Mexico City itself. And there's a numerous amount of pop artists that come out of Spain. So you get more A&R in the pop genre coming in from outside than you do from the own U.S. Hispanic marketplace. As far as the type of music that we fit to locally and do very, very well here, well, yes, most of them are U.S. Hispanic artists or that live here. In the case, for example, of the regional Mexican music, you got Los Temerarios, and you got Los Bukis, and you got Conjunto Primavera, and a huge amount of regional Mexican artists that do very, very, very well here. Extremely do big, big numbers. Some of those artists never make it through Latin America. And the same thing happens in this side of the country with salsa artists, saying Tito Nieves or saying Gilberto Santa Rosa, Victor Mora. The great salsa artists do very, very, very well, but it's hard to spread them through to other countries. And that's happened Always happens back and forth. Because, again, we're dealing with 5 different countries, 5 different cultures. The Mexican people don't think the same way as the Puerto Ricans do, and the Puerto Ricans don't think the way the Cubans do. So it makes it difficult. This is a difficult situation we're dealing with. But we got to live with it. We got to make it happen. In the case of this last explosion that's happening in reggaeton, actually as of yet, it has not hit internationally. Okay? There are places now that are really testing the waters with Daddy Yankee. Believe it or not, there's places all over the world that's still testing the waters with Daddy Yankee, a guy who sold over 1 million records here. So it happens, and it happens one by one. It's different. You got to take different things. We really don't do it from the Latin end of our companies. Okay, in the case of Sony Music, for example, had a lot of the crossover hits. Well, once the Hispanic artist turns into a mega seller that has significant sales throughout the entire Latin region per se, then usually the American company, hey, wait a minute, what do we have here? We got something that's could be mainstream U.S. And that's how they put market and get behind like artists like Shakira, or got behind like Gloria Estefan, or got behind Mark Anthony, or got behind, then our U.S. counterparts usually take that and run with it because they have their own marketing staff. It's a totally different marketplace the way we look at it. I think that anybody, and I really do, because it's experience tells me, that's going to open a Latin record label or be in Latin music in the United States, I think that, and thinks I'm going to sign or mess around with this artist because he is great in English, or this guy, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. This crossover things happen. A lot of cases naturally. You know when it's going to happen. You just there's no magic wand say you are going to be that. It just does not work. It's the street tells you when it's going to work. It's not the executives, not the money we put in marketing. If it's not accepted at the street level, I don't care what you do, it ain't going to happen. So you got to be fast enough to realize and know what's out there. Hey, I'm getting a buzz from here. Who's buying this stuff? Are the young Hispanics that maybe don't speak Spanish that well, who also buy Puff Daddy or buy. So we got to know those things. The record companies got to know those things, and that's how you get your mainstream records. It doesn't. I'm not just signing this guy and this guy's going to sell a million records in the U.S. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You have to make them successful at the U.S. Hispanic market in America. But again, quote, Hispanic market. There's such thing as it's like the country market. Well, you're successful in their country market. You're successful in the U.S. Hispanic market. Then we'll talk about Latin America.
Not the other way. You wouldn't find that.
No, because it doesn't happen that way. It happens, especially now with the genre of music that I'm dealing with, or a lot of people are dealing with. That happens most in the pop genre, where you find a new Shakira coming out of Colombia. You'll find a new Alejandro Sanz coming in from Spain. They're huge in those countries, by the way. Before Alejandro Sanz broke in the United States, he had sold 2 million records in Spain. So it usually comes with that, big major push from the country that originated and signed that group. That's how it usually works. Maná, for example, was huge first in Mexico before it broke in the States. And then now they're bigger in the States than they are in Mexico, but they originated from Mexico City.